All right, it looks like it's about that time. Welcome to MaxPreps Office Hours GHSA specific slides. My name is Haley Hughes. I'm a customer service supervisor here at MaxPreps. We have with us today Ryan Casey, who's our partnerships manager. If you want to say hi, Ryan.
Good morning, everyone.
Just wanted to let you know you guys will be muted for the majority of this webinar, so please use the chat box to ask us any questions as we go. We'll do our best to answer them. If we don't get to them in the middle of the webinar, we'll definitely answer them at the end. And again, for the state-specific questions, we will, if you do have questions, you can feel free to either type in the chat box or raise your hand and we can allow you to talk if that makes it easier for you. Just so we can get those questions answered for you. But before we get started with that, let's learn a little bit more about MaxPreps. MaxPreps was created in a small town in California between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe called El Dorado Hills in 2002 by a local high school basketball coach who was looking for a better way to get his team recognition in the local media. It's our goal here at MaxPreps to celebrate the institution of high school sports and recognize that for so many young people, this will be the pinnacle of their careers, and the memories that they make playing high school sports will actually be some of the best of their lives. So that being said, we aim to cover every single team, every player, and every game, no matter the size of the school or the popularity of the sport. There are about 50 or so employees, a vast majority former athletes or coaches. All of the customer service is operated in-house by our operations team of about 8 people, including myself. So when you give us a call, you can really talk to a real-life person who knows and cares a whole lot about MaxPreps and the high school sports community. So our goals for office hours today will be to walk through the essentials for a coach. So how to request access to your team, how to log into your team admin, how to enter and edit your schedules, rosters, scores, and request an update to your league or leagues if you're in more than one. We'll also discuss your state association's most common questions and answer any other questions that you may have. So that being said, we'll go ahead and start covering your state association common questions. And if you do have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or chat that in the chat box and we'll do your best to answer them. So I'll let Ryan take over for this one.
Thanks, Haley. This year, we've been partners with the GHSA for a number of years, and this year is the first year that all team sports are going to be required to enter schedules, scores, and rosters by bylaw, and those bylaws are specific to each sport. So good thing you guys are joining today to learn how to do this. And Haley's going to do a wonderful job of walking you through how to do everything. If at any point you should ever have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I've got my contact information on these slides as well, and happy to help at any point. So in addition to schedules, scores, and rosters, you're also encouraged to enter stats. This helps media and even sometimes college coaches with recognition of athletes and also your teams and your programs and your schools as a whole.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. If you guys have any questions at all for him right now, feel free to raise your hand or chat that in the chat box. Again, we can address those questions as we go through everything. We can address those at the end. So if you think of anything as we're going, feel free to chat that in the chat box. And if we don't get to it right away, we will address those at the end. And again, we'll have both Ryan's contact information as well as our support team. So if you have any questions, we've got you covered. So moving on, we'll get started with signing up and logging in. So these slides are just a quick overview of information. We'll have a live demo here in a second just to show the steps of everything we go over in these slides. So when you first get to maxpreps.com, you will either see a sign-in button in the upper right-hand corner, or if you're already signed in, you'll see a profile icon. That's your home base. You must click sign in to create an account if you don't already have a membership account with MaxPreps. We suggest using a personal email rather than school emails, simply just because if you change schools, it's a little bit easier versus having to change your school address every time you move. But if you've already signed up with a personal email, it's no big deal. That's fine. And we can show you how to change that, or you can keep it. It's up to your preference. Your profile page that you see here with Aaron's name up there, you can access this by clicking on your profile icon. This is where you'll see your admin accounts, where you can request access, delete access, and log into your team admin. Again, your profile icon is your home base. You'll click on your profile icon and click on your school team listed under your name to get into your admin account for your team. That's what you see on the right-hand side of the screen as well. And if you need to request or access admin access and you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Ryan Casey, who's on the call with us. His email address is listed there as well. So if you have a second and need to write that down, we'll leave that there for you. It's rcasey@maxpreps.com. And we can put that in the chat a little bit later too, if you missed that. So moving on from there, we'll go to schedules, rosters, and more. So once you're in your admin, you'll have the ability to add, remove, edit any information from your team's roster or schedule. You'll also have the ability to add another staff member. And if you're a varsity coach, you have the ability to access JV and freshman levels information to edit as well. If your league or conference was just realigned or isn't listed, or we have you in the wrong league, you can make league corrections within your admin that are sent over to our coach support team to approve. And with that being said, we'll head into our live demo. So feel free to pull up maxpreps.com and follow along if you'd like. We'll answer any specific questions that you may have following the live demo. So give me a second to pull that up. All right, so if you log on to maxpreps.com, this is where you'll be landed. So again, the sign in button is in the upper right hand corner. If you don't see that sign in button, you'll see a profile icon with a person in it, a person with a circle around it, and that means you're already logged in, so you can ignore this step. So click sign in, and this is where you'll have the option to create an account. So if you don't already have a membership account with MaxPreps, this is where you'll want to go to create that account. Again, we suggest using a personal email address, but if you want to use your school address, that is perfectly fine as well. So we'll get logged in here, and then you'll be taken straight back to your homepage. So your profile icon in the upper right-hand corner is your home base. So you'll want to click on that to get into anything team admin related. So if we click there, you'll see your name listed here, sign out, and then if you have access to any teams already, you should see them up at the top here. If you don't, we can get you access, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But if you scroll down, you'll see teams that you're following. If you are an admin for a team, you'll already automatically have that team listed here in your following. So to get to your account page that we showed on the slide earlier, you'll click your name here, and that should take you to your membership profile page. So this is where you'll want to go if you need to change your email or change your password. To edit anything account related, you'll go to this box right here. If you click edit, you'll see you're able to change your email, password, and all this information. On the right-hand side, you'll see your admin account. So again, if you already have access to your team, you should see them listed here. If you see a team that you previously had access to and you no longer need access to, you can remove that team actually by going to enter an access code. I know it's a little throws you off with the enter an access code, but if you click on that, you'll be able to click to remove any team that you no longer are a part of or coaching. So that's a quick way to do that. You can also always reach out to Ryan or us at support to get that team removed and get your access updated. But this is a way to do it yourself as well. You can also again, request admin access. So this goes through an approval process by MaxPreps. Us at support will, if you click here and fill out this information, it takes about 24 to 48 hours at most for us to approve these requests and get you access to your team. You should receive an email from us saying that you were granted access. So if you don't receive that email for some reason, you could always come back here to this page or to your profile icon to see if you do have admin access there. That being said, we'll head into a team here. So again, to get to your team admin page, you just will click your school name from either, you can click from your account profile page, or you can click from your profile icon. Your profile icon should be on every single page on MaxPreps, so you should be at the quick place to go, again, to your home base to get to your team admin. So for this instance, we'll go to boys football for Miller, and you're logging into your admin account for the team. So this is what your admin account should look like. It should have your school colors up at the top. You should see a message from MaxPreps, a team checklist, your mascot and team photo, and so on. So the message from MaxPreps is just a quick message from us. We update from time to time based on what season it is and if there's any important information our coaches need to know. If something goes wrong with the site, this is where we post it. If there's awards that are going on, this is where we post it. Again, select a player of the year you see there is from the previous year. The season ended, so we posted that to remind coaches that we have player of the year awards. So I would just check that from time to time because we update that with important information every so often. The team checklist you see on the right are just quick links to most common areas that needs a coach's attention. So we have verifying your head coach. If you click on this, you can verify your head coach and update your head coach name. So if we click here, you'll see you have the option to, if Justin Evans is no longer the head coach, you can remove him. You can also update Justin's information by editing his email address or changing if he went from head coach to assistant coach. You can change that here as well. But to verify your head coach name, you will have to click to override the head coach name displayed on MaxPreps. So we'll go back.
Haley, did you see a quick question in there?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I'll just read it. If you have an assistant AD that needs to help you out, or an assistant coach, we can also set them up with access to edit, to do all these things Haley's showing you.
Yeah, and so if it's an assistant AD, if they need access to all of the school, we have a school admin access that we can give them as well. So it's the same thing. And I can go through at the end and just show you what that would look like for an AD admin access versus coach, because this is specific to coach, and ADs can get into this view from their AD admin account. They'll have this view for every sport at their school. So if they need access to all sports, that's an easier way than granting them access to each sport. And they're able to get to this view to edit the team's information. And I'll show you all of that here in a little bit. So speaking of the team checklist, this is where you'll just want to go to get quick links. You can update your schedule, roster, and scores from here, as well as your league, which we'll go over in a little bit. So let's head to the roster first, and I'll show you how to make changes there. Okay, so on your roster, you may already have athletes on your roster. If you're a football team connected to Huddle, the Huddle rosters override MaxPreps rosters. So you may see connected to Huddle here. If the roster looks incorrect and it's connected to Huddle, We have a MaxPreps office hours for syncing with Huddle that I would suggest you may join. That will go into more detail about that, but that will need to be corrected on Huddle side first. And that's typically the only way that athletes should be on your roster before you enter them. So if you need to remove any athletes, you can do so by clicking the checkbox next to their name and then going up to click delete. If you need to edit a player's information, if they change jersey numbers, you'll just click the pencil icon next to their name and click edit. There's also an option to delete the player from there as well. If you're adding players one by one to your roster, I would suggest clicking this add button here where you'll be able to fill out their information and then click save and add another to quickly add a few players. If you're adding a full roster, I may suggest you utilize our quick add tool. It's a new tool that we just released, and it's a grid style view of the roster where you can easily tab through and add the athletes to your roster. So that might be an easier option if you're adding a full roster versus adding them one by one on through this add button. You also have the option to upload your roster, which you can do by clicking the three little dots in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see there's an option to print the roster from there as well as right here on the roster page. So we get a lot of questions about how to add and update staff members. So as I showed you on the screen before, you can do so through the team checklist to verify your head coach, but another easier way to do that is go to your roster and then click to the staff tab, where you can edit and remove any staff members that you need to as well from here. So we added a quick way to get to your public roster from this page. So if you click back to public roster, this will take you to your public roster. So if you make any edits or changes to your roster and you want to check them out, you can go back to public roster. Keep in mind that it takes about 15 to 30 minutes for anything to update from the admin to your public side. It could take up to 15 to 30 minutes. So if you go back to public roster and click this and the changes you've made aren't there yet, feel free to, you can contact us to verify that they were entered correctly, and we can let you know that it's just a cache delay in our system, and that it will be updated if you are concerned that it did or did not go through. So any questions on the roster? If you do have any questions, feel free to send them in the chat or raise your hand and we can allow you to talk as well. But if we don't have any questions about roster, we'll move on to the schedule. So if you already have games on your schedule, they may have come from a partner or another coach. So your coach, the opposing coach, if they enter games on your schedule, on their schedule, those will be also input onto your schedule. So if you see any games that you haven't actually entered on your schedule, it's because the opposing coach put them in their schedule and now they're on yours. So if you need to remove any games, you can do so. It's similar to the roster where you can click next to the game date and time on the left-hand side, and then you'll see the delete button in the upper left-hand corner, and you'll just click that to remove the game. If for some reason the game gives you an error and you're not able to remove it, it could be the other team has entered stats for that game. So if they've entered stats for that game, it puts a lock on it for you to not be able to delete that game. So if you need to remove that game, you'll have to reach out to us at support@maxpreps.com to get that removed. So if you need to add a game to your schedule, you can do so by clicking this add button here. For Georgia, it should say region for type. So just imagine this as region, but you'll enter your date, time, and then region and or not region, game type, and home, away, or neutral. And then you can, if you just click into your opponent, it should give you the list of your region teams here if the game type is a region. If for some reason this doesn't look correct and these aren't the teams in your region, you can still type to get your opponent in your schedule, and it'll still show up as a region game. And then you can request league updates as well. So in the meantime, while we're getting those leagues updated, you can still enter that team in your schedule. So say Heritage is in your region. If you type in Heritage, you can click to search non-district opponents. And we're playing Heritage Christian, they're in our region. We click that, we can still add that game to our schedule without them actually being listed in our region on MaxPreps. So you can still add the game if they're not listed there, and while we get that fixed for you. So that being said, let me show you really quickly where you can go to update your league. So if you're already in a league, you should be able to see your alignment, or in your region, I'm sorry. You should be able to see your alignment by going to the More tab and clicking on whatever your alignment is. And you should see this screen. So this screen is where you can add and remove teams from, let me make this a little bigger for you guys. You can add and remove teams from your league or your region. And if everything's correct, you can help us out by clicking everything is correct. That'll also get rid of the little exclamation point on your team checklist. If you click everything is correct, you can change your league here, add, remove teams. If you need to, or if you're not in a region currently, you may not see this listed here under More, so you'll have to go back to your home page and go to verify your league here on the right-hand side. So if you click verify your league on the team checklist, which should be there for every single team, you'll be able to get to the same page here. So heading back to the schedule, we do suggest that you don't enter any scrimmages or other events, exhibitions, anything along those lines on your schedule, just because those will go into your record as well as rankings. So if you do have any scrimmages on your schedule, we suggest removing those, and you can do so again by clicking that checkbox next to the game time and date and clicking delete. So similar to the roster, you have the option to click back to public schedule so you can check out what it looks like when your fans come to your page. So if you click back to public schedule, keep in mind, again, it's 15 to 30 minutes cache delay for any changes that you make within your admin to be shown on the public side. So, if you need to change seasons, if you want to go back to, we're in the 2021-22 season, if you need to go back to the 2021 season or any other season that is active on MaxPreps, you can do, or to your JV or freshman levels, you can do so by clicking on this drop-down menu. It should have your gender, level, and sport and season listed here underneath your school name and school address. If you click that, you can click to different levels here. By clicking this, you'll click and you'll get JV and freshman. If you don't see JV and freshman, those teams are not active on MaxPreps currently, and you can get those active by reaching out to support@maxpreps.com, and we can activate the JV and freshman levels for your team. But if we want to head back to the 2021 season, this is where you'll do so. Click go to team, and you should get taken right back to your 2021 season, the previous year. So if we head to the schedule for this, I'll show you what it looks like to enter scores and how that won't show up. So if we add a game to this schedule, and again, we're going to do a non-district game against MaxPreps. So we add a game to the schedule. Oh, this is a good point out. So games can only be scheduled during certain dates. So of course, this is a little early for football. So we'll change that date there. Still a little early. Oh, it's 2020, of course. All right, so the game has been added now. If once the game has been added, the game date and time has been passed, and since this is 2020, of course, it's already passed. You'll see the enter score button here. So if you click enter score, you won't see enter score until the game date or time has passed. If you click enter score, you'll be taken to the box score page where you should be able to enter a score. We'll say it was 50 to 25, and then you scroll down and you should see save and exit. So this is where you can save the score and exit if you're just trying to enter the score. Zoom out here a little. And if you are looking to enter stats, if you save the score and you want to just go straight into entering stats and you're doing so manually, you can save and enter stats, and that will take you to a page where you can enter the stats manually. So let's go back to the score page. So back on the score page, if you're importing stats from a partner and you have a stat file, you'll go down here and click Save and Import Stats. So this is where you can upload the file and then import it to MaxPreps. It's important to keep in mind the file should be a TXT file when you are importing it. So if it's not, feel free to reach out to us and we're happy to get that checked out for you and get that into the correct format or get those entered for you in some way, somehow. So we'll go back to enter scores. If you're a football team, you'll see the option to import Huddle stats. So if you go to save and enter stats here, you will see the option to enter Huddle stats. So if you're connected to Huddle, you should see that there. If you're a baseball or softball coach and you're connected to Game Changer, you should see an enter Game Changer stats here. And that will get you to the Game Changer drop-down menu where you'll be able to select the Game Changer file. And again, we have Huddle and Game Changer specific webinars coming up this week. So in the following email following this, I'll be sending out the recording of this as well as links to the upcoming webinars. So you'll have the chance to sign up for those if you are able to and would like to. All right, so if you have entered stats already and you need to go back and edit them for any reason, you can do so by clicking the pencil icon next to the game and clicking edit stats. The pencil icon next to the game is where you can edit any information for that game as well. So if you see a game on your schedule that is listed as a district game, that needs to be listed, or a region game, I'm sorry, that needs to be listed as a non-region game, you can always go into your admin for the team, go to this pencil icon, click edit game, and you can update the game type at any time from here. So if your league record or your region record looks incorrect here, it's most likely due to the fact that there's a game marked incorrectly in your schedule. So you can go through your schedule and see which games are marked as region or non-region games, and that should update your record here. So again, we suggest that you enter your scores through the admin. We do have some coaches that try to enter them through the public side, which is okay. But as a coach, you have full control over your team. So the scores that are entered through your admin are automatically posted to your team. So if you go to your public schedule by clicking back to public schedule here, you'll see this is the fan side. And if there's any game here that doesn't have a score, there will be a report a score option. The report a score option is mostly for fans. If coaches aren't very active on MaxPreps, it just helps us get scores there. So we don't suggest necessarily having a coach go to the public side and clicking report a score, just because that goes through an approval process and you have the ability to automatically post those scores within your coach admin. So speaking of the public side, on the schedule, you'll see it's a quick way to get to your opponent's schedule. You can click on their school name and that will take you right into their schedule. So if you're curious about what's going on with Toulouse Midway, you'll just click on their name here and it'll pop up with their schedule. Same thing goes for the rosters. If you need to see their roster, you just click on their page and it'll be the same taskbar here up at the top. A great thing to note is if you go to the roster page for your team and you click on an athlete's name. So if you click on Adrian Lloyd here, sorry, actually clicked the wrong name. We'll go to Lonnie Adkim. So for Lonnie, he plays basketball and football. So he's a great athlete. And if you want to click to see his career stats specifically for football, if for some reason you need to get to his career stats, this is a great way to get there. If you click on his name from the roster and then his sport, you can see full career stats. You can also see every year that he's played that sport and get game detailed stats for that athlete. So we have coaches calling about specific athlete stats. This is the way to get there. If we head back to the teams page, you'll see we'll go to standings here. This is also a quick way to see if your league record, your region record is incorrect. This is a great way to see it as well. You can see your other teams. If for some reason anything looks off, you feel free to reach out to us and we can get that updated for the other teams that may have a few games marked incorrectly as district or non-district games. And then quickly going over rankings, it's truly strength of schedule and not classification, school size, or stats. We're happy to talk through any specific rankings questions that you may have if you give us a call so we can look at your team and how your rankings have shaken out. So if you have any questions about your rankings, those are super specific and we can go through your team schedule as well as other teams that you're looking at and give you a kind of detailed outline of what's going on there if you do have any questions for that. That being said, I believe we are towards the end of our webinar. So give me 1 second here, not sure. Oh. All right, there we go. All right, so are there any questions we can answer about anything that we just presented on? Any questions about getting access, logging in, schedules, anything at all, feel free to type those out in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, we can allow you to talk. If you do have any questions, we're happy to give those answers up to you. And if there are no questions, still if you're typing, feel free to keep going. But I'll just let you know that we are going to be sending out a recording of this after we're finished here, as well as links to those upcoming webinars I was talking about. So we have Syncing with Huddle, Syncing with Game Changer, a specific webinar actually for athletic directors. So if you have any questions specific to those, feel free to join those. We will have my support at maxpreps.com is here, as well as our phone number, and then Ryan Casey's information. He's our state rep for you guys, so if you have any questions, he's here to help, as well as the rest of the support team. So feel free to ask away. We're here to help, and we just want to make this as easy and smooth as possible for you guys. We know you don't have all the time in the world, and we want to make it as easy and as beneficial for you. So feel free to send us suggestions, anything at all, anything that's on your mind, we're here to help. And if there aren't any questions, we can go ahead and end. And I thank you so much for coming and joining with us today. Ryan, if you have anything you want to add, feel free.
Yeah, no, just thank you. We're looking forward to the year. Hopefully a little bit back to normal for everyone. And yeah, looking forward to it. And like she said, we're here to help for anything that you guys need.
All right. Well, thank you guys and have a great rest of your week.